Democrats love creating reparations commissions, studies, task forces, symbolic gestures. But here's what they won't do: cut the check. And without the check, they don't get our vote. All right, let's talk about this little game the Democrats are playing with reparations because I need everybody to understand what's actually happening here. San Francisco created a reparations commission. Maryland just overrode Governor Wes Moore's veto to pass legislation establishing their own reparations commission. And we're going to see more of these popping up in blue states and cities all across the country over the next year. Commissions everywhere, studies galore, task forces for days. And you know what all of these commissions have in common? They're designed to study the issue, discuss the issue, analyze the issue, hold hearings about the issue, write reports about the issue, and do absolutely everything except actually pay reparations. Because that's what Democrats do best: symbolism, performance, the appearance of progress without any actual material change. Let me be absolutely crystal clear about something, because apparently this needs to be said over and over and over again until it penetrates the thick skulls of every Democratic politician who thinks they can play us. Reparations means money, cash, direct payments, checks in our hands, money in our bank accounts, real, actual, tangible, spendable currency that we can use to build generational wealth, start businesses, buy property, invest in our futures, and begin to close the massive wealth gap that centuries of oppression created. Reparations is not a down payment assistance program. That's a housing policy. Reparations is not free college tuition. That's education policy. And honestly, with the way college degrees are becoming increasingly obsolete in today's economy and the way student debt is crushing people, that's not even the benefit they think it is. Reparations is not job training programs. That's workforce development. Reparations is not community investment initiatives. That's urban policy. And reparations is definitely not an apology. We don't need white people's feelings about what their ancestors did. We need compensation for what was stolen from us. All of those other things, down payment assistance, education benefits, job programs, community investment, if Democrats want to throw those in on top of cash reparations, fine, great, add them to the package. But they cannot be substitutes for actual monetary compensation. They cannot be the reparations. They can be additional benefits, supplementary programs, extra support, but the central, non-negotiable baseline demand is cash payments to the descendants of American slavery. And I know exactly what these politicians are trying to do. They're trying to water down the definition of reparations so they can claim they delivered it without actually spending the money required to make us whole. They're trying to reframe reparations as a collection of social programs instead of what it actually is: a debt owed, a bill due, compensation for stolen labor, stolen land, stolen lives, stolen futures. See, when Japanese Americans got reparations for internment during World War II, they got checks, direct payments, money. Nobody tried to give them down payment assistance and call it reparations. Nobody offered them free community college and said the debt was paid. They got cash reparations because that's what reparations means. But when it comes to Black Americans, when it comes to the descendants of people who built this entire country's wealth through unpaid labor for 250 years, suddenly we're supposed to be satisfied with task forces and commissions and studies and symbolic programs. The disrespect is astounding. And what makes it even worse is that they think we're stupid enough to fall for it. They think if they create enough commissions, hold enough hearings, write enough reports, and use the word reparations enough times, we'll forget to ask where the money is. They think if they keep us busy arguing about the details of hypothetical programs, we won't notice that they never actually appropriate any funds. Let's talk about what these commissions actually accomplish. They create jobs for politicians and activists to sit on committees. They generate press releases that make Democrats look progressive. They provide talking points for election season about how they're addressing racial justice. They buy time. They create the appearance of action. They give politicians cover to say, "We're working on it," without ever actually delivering anything. And meanwhile, Black Americans are still dying from health disparities that are directly linked to poverty created by systemic oppression. We're still being economically exploited in low-wage jobs. We're still being locked out of wealth-building opportunities. We're still suffering from the intergenerational trauma and material deprivation that slavery and Jim Crow created. But sure, let's spend another 5 years studying whether we deserve compensation. Let's form another commission to discuss what we already know. Here's what we know: Black Americans are owed. The debt is real. The case is ironclad. The moral argument is unassailable. The legal precedent exists. The economic calculation has been done multiple times by multiple researchers. We know how much was stolen. We know who it was stolen from. We know who benefited. We know who the descendants are. There is nothing left to study. There is no more research needed. The only question that remains is, when are you going to pay? But Democrats don't want to answer that question. They want to deflect. They want to complicate. They want to create processes that take so long that people forget about the original demand. They want to turn a simple transaction into a bureaucratic nightmare that never actually results in anyone getting paid. And let me tell you why they're doing this. Money. These politicians look at the actual cost of real reparations and they panic. Because we're not talking about a few $1,000,000 here and there. We're talking about trillions of dollars to actually make Black Americans whole for 400 years of oppression. We're talking about wealth transfers on a scale that would fundamentally reshape the American economy. We're talking about money that would have to come from somewhere, which means either taxing the wealthy or cutting other programs or both. And Democrats don't want to do that. They don't want to tax their wealthy donors. They don't want to fight those political battles. They don't want to spend the political capital. So instead, they create commissions. They study, they deliberate, they perform concern, and they hope we'll eventually settle for less than we're owed because we're tired of fighting. But here's what they need to understand. We're not settling. We're not compromising on this. We're not accepting symbolic gestures instead of material compensation. And most importantly, we're not giving them our votes unless they deliver cash reparations. It's that simple. No check, no vote. You want Black Americans to turn out and save the Democratic Party in 2026 and beyond? Cut the check first. You want our enthusiasm, our organizing, our mobilizing? Show us the money first. This is not a threat. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of terms. We're telling you exactly what we need to secure our votes. And if you choose not to deliver, that's on you. We're not going to keep being the emergency rescue squad for a party that refuses to actually compensate us for carrying them election after election. And I can already hear some Democrats clutching their pearls, talking about how we're being divisive, how we're playing into Republican hands, how we need to think about the bigger picture. But the bigger picture is that Black Americans have been putting the Democratic Party's interests ahead of our own for 60 years, and we have very little to show for it. The bigger picture is that every other group that votes for Democrats gets something specific in return, but we're supposed to be satisfied with not being actively oppressed by Republicans. That's not good enough anymore. We want what we're owed. We want what every other group that's received reparations in this country got, actual money. And until Democrats are ready to deliver that, they need to stop wasting our time with commissions. Because here's the thing about these commissions. They're designed to fail. They're designed to spend years studying, then come back with recommendations that are either too expensive to implement or too watered down to mean anything. They're designed to create the appearance of progress while ensuring that nothing actually changes. They're designed to run out the clock. Look at what happened in San Francisco. They created a commission. The commission did its work. The commission came back with recommendations for actual reparations. And then what happened? The city said it was too expensive and started backtracking. See how that works? Create the commission, get the good press, then claim financial constraints when it's time to actually pay. Or look at Maryland. They had to override their own Democratic governor's veto just to establish a commission. Governor Wes Moore, a Black man, vetoed the Reparations Commission bill. Let that sink in. Even Black Democrats are scared of actually delivering reparations because they know what it would require. They know it would require political courage. They know it would require taking on wealthy interests. They know it would require actual sacrifice. So they create commissions instead. They study instead of acting. They deliberate instead of delivering, and they hope we'll be so grateful for the symbolism that we forget to demand the substance. But we're not forgetting. We're not letting this slide. And we're definitely not voting for people who think a commission is the same thing as a check. Because at the end of the day, a commission doesn't pay our rent. A study doesn't close the wealth gap. A task force doesn't compensate us for stolen labor. A report doesn't address intergenerational trauma. Only money does that. Only actual, real, tangible cash reparations begin to address the debt that's owed. Now Democrats have a choice to make. They can continue down this path of commissions and studies and symbolic gestures, and they can watch their most reliable voting bloc stay home in 2026. Or they can get serious about reparations, appropriate the money, cut the checks, and secure Black voter enthusiasm for a generation. The math is really simple. Black voters want reparations, real reparations, cash reparations. If you deliver that, you get our votes enthusiastically. If you don't deliver that, you're on your own. No amount of commissions will change that equation. No amount of studies will substitute for payment. No amount of political theater will convince us that you're serious about racial justice if you're not willing to actually compensate us for racial injustice. And before anyone starts with the "but how will we pay for it" argument, let me just say you found money for bank bailouts. You found money for corporate subsidies. You found money for wars. You found money for tax cuts for the wealthy. You found money for everything except the people who built this country for free. So the "how will we pay for it" question is really a "do we want to pay for it" question. And if the answer is no, if you don't want to pay what's owed, then you need to be honest about that so we can be honest about where our votes are going. Because we're done being played. We're done being pacified with symbolism. We're done accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. We're done carrying the Democratic Party while getting nothing specific in return. We're done with commissions that go nowhere and studies that collect dust and task forces that task force without ever actually forcing any real change. We want reparations, real reparations, cash reparations. And until Democrats are ready to deliver that, they can create all the commissions they want. They can study for the next 100 years. They can write all the reports. They can hold all the hearings. But they won't get our votes because we figured out that our votes are valuable. And we're no longer giving them away for free to people who won't compensate us for the labor our ancestors gave away for free. The ball is in your court, Democrats. Cut the check or lose the vote. It's that simple. And all the commissions in the world won't change that math.
She's right. It's time to cut the check, Democrats. Um, we studied the group all along, and it's time for the check to be cut. We don't need no reparations committee. We don't need none of this stuff. We need the checks cut, the Democrats. So please stop playing games. We don't need any more symbolism. We don't need none of this stuff. We need those reparations checks cut as soon as possible. It's time out for the Democrats to do the right thing and pay the reparations that is due to African Americans. It's no rocket scientist what has happened to the African Americans, FBAs, if I may say, foundational Black Americans. Reparations must be given. It's been given to every other race. It's been given to the Chinese. It's been given to all the other races. But when it comes down to us, we can't receive reparations. I think it's just an inherited that we can't receive those reparation payments. All the other races have received reparations. The Japanese for internment camp, the American Indians, the Jews, all of those have received cash payments. We are tired of these symbolisms, Democrats or Republicans. We're tired. Cut the check. Please pay up. We're tired of these symbolisms, these study groups, these reparations commissions, these HR 40 bills that's already been studied through the late John Congress of Detroit. We're tired, and we're tired of the games that the Democrats or Republicans play. We're tired of being the Democrats' mule. In other words, cut the check. You know what happened in the past. You know what was done to the foundational Black Americans. You know what needs to be done. We don't want no student loans. We don't want no loan programs. No, all this other kind of stuff, these symbolisms. June 19th, which is a symbolism, which is okay, but we don't want that. We want cash payments, checks paid to foundational Black Americans, descendants of slaves, freemen. In the story, Democrats. So please stop with this reparations committee study groups. You're not going to do it. You're going to keep playing games with us, and we're tired. We are for real this time. We are true to the game right now. We hip to the symbolisms, and we're tired. Please, Democrats, if you want us to vote for you, Republicans, if you want us to vote for you, cut the check. No vote, no check. No check, no vote. And that's just plain and simple. You want our votes, cut that check. And that's what it's all about. Thank you for tuning into the Greg's Review Show. Like, thumbs up, like, and share this video. It's a wonderful video that needs to get out, and I'm just one of the person that's for reparations. I don't want to get into debate about that. That's the history of it. We know that the descendants of slave African American people were not paid at all for their work and their labors that they put into this country, that built this country. And for America to constantly deny what happened and deny the reparations, it's appalling and offensive to all FBAs. And all we saying, Democrats and Republicans, if you want us to vote, if you want us to be a part of the American system, if you believe in the American democracy, if you believe in the American dream, cut the check for foundational Black Americans. We don't need no symbolism again. We don't need no study groups, no study commissions. Let's quit it. Let's quit playing games. We all know what happened. We all will know what's to be done. So cut the check and get busy. God bless you. Thank you for tuning into the Grace Review Show. Please like and share this video. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Share this video. And please support us through Cash App. Any way you can will help us in this reparation movement. God bless you. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Bye bye.